Good morning. We'll call the House Agriculture and Natural Resources Committee to order. Clerk, please call the roll.
Representative Fritz. Grills. Hardaway. Harris. Holsey. Hurt. Jones. Marsh. Martin. Reedy. Ritchie. Shaw. Travis. Vital. Vice Chairman Darby. Chairman Todd. Mr. Chair, you have a quorum. Representative Wright.
Here, I'm here. I'm sorry.
No problem. Thank you for getting that on the record. I would also now call on Representative Wright to lead us in the prayer and the pledge, please.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. If you would, please let me join us all together in a word of prayer. Our dear Father, we ask that you be with us this morning. Bless us in our work as we strive to serve the citizens of the state of Tennessee. Bless us in our individual capacities and be with all of us this morning as we look to you for guidance and a blessing. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
And I'd also like to ask you to give proper courtesy to our country's flag and join with me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Attention, salute, pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Wright. Forest cost share programs were established to assist landowners and the forest industry by improving the health and sustainability of Tennessee forests. The Southern Pine Beetle Initiative is a cost share program that is provided by a coalition of Tennessee forest and wildlife conservation organizations. This program encourages landowners to proactively manage their pine forest lands and make them more resilient to beetle infestation. By providing financial assistance, this effort assists landowners in reducing the vulnerability to the pine beetle through long-term investment in Tennessee's forest that supports sustainable forest management practices. To find out more about these cost share programs, eligibility, and other financial assistance opportunities, you can contact your local area forester or the Department of Agriculture to learn more. This morning, we have several things on our calendar, and I want to take up maybe a couple of these out of order without objection. We'll call up, Representative Grills, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just wanted to let everyone know that I actually have a constituent here from the far northwest part of Tennessee, Mr. Doug Robertson, sitting back there on the back. He's been a friend and a supporter for quite some time. He lives in Ridgely. He's the Republican Party chairperson in Lake County. So if y'all would make him feel welcome.
Thank you, Representative Grills, and I apologize for not tackling personal orders first. Representative Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also have a constituent, a great friend, and a great public servant here on behalf of Lexington, Tennessee. The city mayor, Jeff Griggs, is in the audience, and thank you for joining us, sir.
Good to see you, Mayor. Representative Vital.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It's my honor this morning to welcome my son, Levi. He's a great son of agriculture. He's a professional farrier and team roper and living the dream. Thank you.
Good to have you, Levi. Any other personal orders? Okay, seeing none, we're going to take up item 2 out of order without objection. Item 2 by Chairman Moon, House Bill 1734. We have a motion and a second. You're properly before, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. I respectfully ask this be rolled for 2 weeks, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, without objection, we'll roll this 2 weeks. Thank you, sir. And we have, let's see, get another item here. Item number 5. I will need a motion to roll item number 5 for 1 week. We have a motion and a second. Without objection, we'll roll item number 5, House Bill 1054, 1 week. Okay, that brings us to item number 1 on our calendar, House Bill 1666 by Representative Reedy. I have a motion and a second. Representative Reedy, you're recognized on the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And of course, we do have an amendment we need to put on, and that tracking code is 13996.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on Amendment 13996. It makes the bill, so we'll go ahead and put that on without objection. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Amendment goes on the bill. You're recognized, sir, for the bill as amended.
And thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the amendment. It did rewrite the bill, and a big concern that we had was part of it was funding. Now, the gist of this bill is to allow Perry, Stewart, Houston, and Humphreys County to join the West Tennessee River Basin Authority. And we actually look at Kentucky Lake. And in my House District 74, I represent all counties around Kentucky Lake, with the exception of Perry County. But what we find is in the River Basin Authority, all of those counties on the west side belong to the Tennessee River Basin Authority, but these counties do not. So it's permissive. If they would like to join the River Basin Authority, if this bill passes, it will allow them to do so.
Okay, any questions on the bill as amended? Representative Grills?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and also working in being involved with this. This right here, this amendment actually allows those counties to join the West Tennessee River Basin Authority without a detriment or any loss of funds or loss of work that will be done in the existing counties currently. That is correct, right?
That is correct, sir.
Okay, just for the record, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, if you're ready to vote, we'll be voting on House Bill 1666 as amended. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, like sign. The ayes have it. This moves on to Finance, Ways, and Means. Next, we have item number 3 on the calendar, and that has been requested to be rolled 1 week. So without objection, we'll roll that 1 week. Is it 1 week or 2? 1 week. Okay, thank you. And item number 4, House Bill 1674 by Representative Wright. Do I have a motion and a second? Sir, you're recognized on House Bill 1674.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee, and honored guests. First, let me say I thank you so much for allowing me to be a participant in the opening of this committee this morning. This is House Bill 1674 on behalf of the Tennessee Division of Forestry. Let me state that interest in outdoor recreation has significantly increased in the state of Tennessee. And as a tourism state, that's a plus for us. I will characterize this bill as a fix-it bill, and that with the Tennessee Division of Forestry being moved out of the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, the Commissioner of Agriculture didn't receive authority to, for a fee, provide activities like horse rides, extended camping, rallies, weddings, or organized other events, and therefore lost the means to finance proper maintenance and protection of the forest assets. This legislation more clearly defines the authority of the state forester's ability to work with nonprofits and other entities to work on recreational opportunities and asset protection. And with that restatement of the purpose of this bill, I ask for the support of the committee, and I am seated for questions.
Thank you for that, Representative Wright. We do have an amendment that has been proposed by Representative Halsey on this bill. Representative Halsey, you're recognized. Motion on amendment. We have a motion and a second, sir.
Thank you. I met with the forestry folks and cleared a whole lot of things up. I really don't know how to proceed on this. I'm willing to withdraw it under the assurance that these things that I've been told will be changed or stayed. And I don't know if maybe could go hold off on the amendment until we can discuss this with the sponsor of the bill. And I very well may withdraw it and not need it.
Okay, so would you like for that motion and second to be withdrawn?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Motion withdrawn. Okay, thank you for that, sir. Any questions for the sponsor on the bill? Representative Halsey.
Thank you. One of my concerns was the portion of the bill that talks about the involvement of third parties. My amendment said that any third party that the state forestry department would use would be domiciled in the United States. It would not have any ties or tentacles running from any foreign entity or foreign a government. Is your position that is not an issue and any third party engagement will be domiciled in the United States?
Representative Wright?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and that would be my consideration as I've been informed of the bill also. To have a technical answer to that other than what I'm saying, if you wish, we might go out of session and ask either legal or the administration representatives here.
If you would like to go out of session, we can certainly
Fine.
consult. Okay. Without objection, we'll go out of session. We're now out of session, and I guess we'll go to, okay, Representative Halsey, I'll let you ask the question specifically.
Okay.
Legal maybe first, and then if we need to get the department up, we can.
Okay, as my amendment reads, that any third party use by the state forest department would be domiciled in the United States. The way the bill's written right now, is there an assurance of that?
You're recognized.
Levin Middleton, Office of Legal Services. As written in the bill currently, it doesn't specify where the third parties that they might enter into agreements with would be domiciled.
Okay. Would you like to hear anything from the department?
Yeah, that would be helpful.
Okay. Could we get, I guess, our state forester would be fine?
You'd like it.
Whoever wants to go first, you're welcome to, and just turn the microphone on and give us your name and your position with the department.
Can you all hear me?
You got it. Thank
Okay,
you.
great, thanks. My name is Emily King, and I'm an attorney with the Department of Agriculture. I work closely with the Division of Forestry in preparing this bill and working through it with you all. In regards to agreements with third parties, we do not foresee entering into those agreements with entities that are domiciled outside of the United States. Our intention for that provision is to work with third parties for maintenance and recreational opportunities in state forests that the Division of Forestry does not or is not set up currently to handle. So maintaining rock climbing walls for Tennesseans to use, trail management, those are the types of things that we're looking to enter into agreements with third parties for, and we do not anticipate those third parties being domiciled outside of the United States.
Okay. Representative Halsey?
Okay, thank you for clearing that up. I appreciate that. And you and I have spent a great deal of time hashing over all this stuff, and you've worked very, very hard to assuage my concerns, and I appreciate it very much. The other issue in this amendment says that it troubled me when the wording of the bill said that you would use law enforcement agencies to enforce law, but a little bit later in the original sentence, it said to enforce rules. And that troubled me just in the issuance of enforcing rules with law enforcement. But I was worried about the law enforcement agencies. I didn't want federal police tramping around on a state forest. And so the reason that I put that in the amendment is that you would use your local sheriff's department to enforce whatever laws you needed. But will you explain for the record why that's kind of a problem to you? If this amendment specifically says the sheriff's department only?
You're recognized.
Good morning. Heather Slayton, Tennessee Department of Agriculture, Division of Forestry, State Forester. Thank you for that question. I appreciate that because that was well stated to clear that up. But we do request law enforcement or wish to request law enforcement assistance from not only the local sheriff's department, but from the Tennessee Department of Environment and Conservation, TDEC, and the Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency. So we would request that statement be expanded past the local sheriff's department to include those agencies. Now, regarding the federal law enforcement, we do have 2 state forests specifically that are nested within federal lands, Scott State Forest and Martha Sundquist State Forest. And just by happenstance, those rangers or those foresters do ingress and egress out of our state forest. So we can't necessarily prevent their presence being on our state forest. But our intent is to request local law enforcement assistance or from TDEC or TWRA.
Representative Halsey.
Okay, the amendment doesn't say the sheriff's department's the only one you can use, but I didn't realize until we had talked before about the other agencies are already in state agency to use. With that, well, we've got to go back in session to deal with the amendment, but I do appreciate you clarifying a whole lot of things, not just this, but other things that troubled me just in the wording of the bill. And I appreciate you taking the time to clear that up.
Thank you. Representative Hardaway.
Thank you, Chairman, and good morning. Your answer to Chairman Halsey's first question about foreign collaboration was that you don't anticipate, quote unquote, such agreements. So does that mean that with the legislation before us, that you could, if the administration changes its mind?
You're recognized.
Thank you for that question. The way the bill is currently written, yes, the department theoretically could enter into these agreements with third parties that are not domiciled in the United States. Like I said, for now, we don't anticipate that being the case, given the nature of how we manage our state forest and the uses that we anticipate Tennesseans seeking within our state forest. We think that those agreements can be handled locally within the state of Tennessee or with parties from surrounding states. We don't anticipate that the needs that we're seeking would need to be fulfilled by a party that's not domiciled in the United States. So that,
Representative Hardaway.
And thank you for the response, but of course, I won't be here forever, and some of you may change positions. So it bothers me that we could have a foreign company that was deeply engaged in the management or the operations otherwise of our natural resources like that. So I guess I'm more inclined to look at Chairman Halsey and see if he may want to think about bringing something specifically to address that, or to the sponsor of the bill. And I'd like to have more conversation with you at a future date. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Representative Ritchie.
Thank you, Chairman. I've got a question for legal, and then might come back over to our guests that are here today. Legal, under section 3C, and it starts off under 3B, it says establishing services, permits, license, and other authorizations for the use of state forest and assessing fees for the use of state forest. Is there any limitations for charging daily rates, parking fees for folks that want to end up going into the state forest at all with this particular language? This is one of my concerns that I've had with it. During testimony and meetings, it was said it's for high impact use, but I don't see how that's specifically just for high impact. Is there anything that limits them from being able to charge daily fees and parking fees with this?
Ms. Middleton.
As the bill is written currently, I'm not seeing anything that would necessarily limit it to those things in the bill right now, no.
Thank you for that. Mr. Chairman, okay, got Representative Fritz on the list.
Mr. Chairman, I'll yield to Mr. Reedy if he wants to go
Okay,
next.
Representative Reedy.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And of course, when we move this bill out, it has to go through government operations, and then through the rules that we'll find out all of the fees and stuff, and then we'll leave it up to the members in the House and Senate on the Joint Government Operations Committee. We will decide if it's a good idea or bad idea when that department or agency brings it to us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. Representative Fritz.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And this comments to the to our witnesses. I appreciate y'all have worked really well to help assuage some of these concerns. And they're serious concerns. Some of us, I'll say I, have great concerns about foreign entities having any involvement on Tennessee soil. There's an entire world that wants to cripple and destroy us, and they'll use any method that they can to do that. And I appreciate your honesty so much. And I'm supportive of what we're trying to do, but I will not be supporting this bill if there's any chance of that.
Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments for our guests? Okay, seeing none. Representative Grills.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to our guest. I want to follow the same line of thinking that Representative Fritz just used. I too appreciate the effort that y'all put forth running back and forth. You've been here several days, and I appreciate that. But if we were to have something like the Paris Climate Accord, and they were to come out with some idea that we needed to adopt in Tennessee, and they were to somehow finagle a way that someone in our State Department agreed with them, would we have to adhere to their type of thinking and their type of regulations? Because how would that work? I mean, just hypothetically.
You're recognized.
Can you be more specific as
Well,
to what they're?
Where do we take? I'm sorry,
Okay,
Mr. Chairman.
go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we were to just, some of the different people that we get how we manage our forest from, some of the different organizations that we could be involved in, do we take direct consideration of their recommendations? And do those recommendations come from places like the Paris Climate Accord and those type of individuals? Or do we solely depend upon the Department of Forestry here in Tennessee to make our recommendations and stay away from those other entities that may be of foreign influence?
Ms. Slayton.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I would answer that question with reminding the committee that the state forest system is a third-party certified under the Sustainable Forestry Initiative certification. And that's an internationally recognized certification system that guides our operations on the state forest. And so our sole goal on the state forest is to manage for forest health and forest resiliency. And to do that, you must actively manage those forests. And in order to do that, we employ professional foresters who have degrees in forest management or natural resource curriculum. And we also have a very robust system by which our compartment plans are reviewed and described and authorized. And we do invite members of the public and other entities to comment on those, but we do manage our state forest system under that SFI certification, which is an internationally recognized certification body.
Representative Grill.
And thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I just kind of concur with Representative Fritz, Representative Halsey, Representative Ritchie, and the different questions that they have brought up. We are fearful of foreign influence. When you look across the world, I don't see many countries that want to see what's best for America. And I'm fearful when we start taking influence, or if there's any chance that we could be influenced by a foreign entity, terrifies me to the death. And for those same reasons, I have the apprehension that they mentioned.
Any other? Okay, Representative Vital.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Director, I appreciate the work you've gone through to get this to this point. I think fundamentally, moving it from the Department of Environmental Conservation to the Department of Agriculture is solid. It is for sustainability. I think it will be better received by the people of Tennessee to be able to utilize our state forests. I think the two issues that we've talked about this morning related to foreign influence in contracting is one, and I am very concerned about that, but I think I've been comforted by the intent of the types of contracts that you're talking about. Second, the policy issues related to foreign influence and climate change, whatever that means, or resilience or sustainability, they're separate. I want to maintain our forests in a sustainable, renewable format, but truly not be influenced by outside influences. So we would appreciate knowing that we're going to look at those in the best interests of Tennessee, best interests of the United States, of its natural resources, and not world influence. So thank you for what you've done. Thank you for your influence. I hope you stay there forever so we can trust you. But at the same time, I think we do have some issues on the policy side more than the contracting side. So thank you. And I do have another question later on related to cooperation with state parks and state forests and how they were interrelate, primarily the Cumberland Trail. So thank you.
Okay, Ms. Slayton.
Yeah, thank you very much for bringing up the fact that the Division of Forestry is within the Department of Agriculture currently. And that really aligns very well with how we manage the state forest. We believe that the timber on our state forest, that it does provide a myriad of benefits, from clean water to wildlife habitat to recreation. But we also believe our timber is a crop. Just much like the Department of Agriculture believes, obviously, corn and cotton and everything else is a crop. And so our intent is to support our farmers and our forest landowners and our state forests through managing that crop. And that is through a sustainable, active management. And so we absolutely anticipate continuing to do that. The science of forestry is centuries old. And it really doesn't change much when it comes to the need and the health of the forest. And that's our primary focus, is to make sure those forests are productive and they're healthy and they're resilient across the landscape.
Thank you for that. Representative Marsh?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And concerning the portion about the fees, I think it's legitimate that we should charge users a fee if they're using a part of the parks or the forest, and they're causing you to do extra work. I think they should pay for that. I know the citizens of the state are paying it already, but if they do a lot of that, that means we're going to be paying more as citizens that aren't using it. So I think that's legitimate, that if they're a user, they should pay for what they're doing at a legitimate rate. So I think that's a good part of it.
Thank you for that, sir. And Representative Fritz?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I didn't want this to go unsaid. I have great confidence in you and your team. Absolute confidence. This discussion with some of the questions is why we do this, I think, as a young politician. But thank you so much. And I did not want that to go unsaid. I have confidence in you, Ms. Evans.
Thank you for that. And that term young is relative, I understand. Representative Hardaway?
Thank you, sir. The issue of fees, it reminded me that we'd one time allowed for discounted fees for veterans and others. Does this bill address that or change any of that in any way?
Ms. Slayton?
This bill is strictly to address the authority for the Division of Forestry, Department of Agriculture to assess fees. As Representative Reedy mentioned earlier, that the next step would be to have our rules promulgated through the department or through the GovOps, and it'd be that stage where that would be determined.
Representative Hardaway?
Thank you. I would urge you, when you promulgate rules, to remember that those are very good ideas that were put into place. And I'll end with, I have confidence in you also. And look forward to seeing you in Memphis.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. And that's one thing I do appreciate about this committee. We are looking out for not just this year or next year. We're looking out for the next generations. And I certainly appreciate that. Representative Grills?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Maybe this is the last one. To legal, please. If we were to put the amendment on that Chairman Halsey had drafted, the first section there, would that take care of the fears of the foreign influence?
Ms. Middleton?
If the amendment was adopted, it would prohibit the state forester from entering into agreements with third parties not domiciled in the U.S. So to that extent, possibly, but beyond that, I can't really say, but it would prevent them from entering into agreements with third parties outside of the United States.
Representative Grills?
I think you answered our question. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments for our guest? Representative Halsey?
Thank you very much. And I had one question, and then I'll leave you alone, I promise. And by the way, the fears are not unfounded. I mean, for anybody watching this or sitting out here, you have no idea, or maybe you do, if you keep up with the effort, the global effort to deprive citizens of this state and this country of their sovereignty, and to deprive them of their personal and private property and state property too. That's not a dream. That is something that is going on, and so people on this committee they're very aware of it and want to make sure it doesn't happen here. There's one sentence here that says this bill provides that a person who commits one or more of the following acts or omissions is subject to a civil penalty of up to $10,000. I was just wondering what would be an act of omission that would fall under that, or do you have an idea about that?
Either one of you recognize.
Thank you for that question. I'll do my best to answer it off the top of my head. Our current rules say you have to return a campsite to the same way that you found it. So if you fail to throw away your trash or remove all of your camping equipment, that's probably littering as well, but it could be an omission that you failed to clean up the site in compliance with our rules.
Representative Halsey.
Okay. I'm not going to camp there if it costs me $10,000 because I don't clean up the campsite. I'll just tell you. I guess a question to the chairman: Are we going to do a verbal type amendment that allows the use of state law enforcement, but keeps the third party part domiciled, or do I stick with this amendment?
We
Do we
are
write another one?
We are considering that at the moment. We're checking with the clerk's office, and if anybody else wants to talk a little more, then that'll buy us a little more time. Otherwise, we could recess for a minute. But, Representative Ritchie, you could talk for a little bit. You're recognized, sir.
Thank you, Chairman. And thank you for being here, Ms. Light. I did have a question. It's not on topic on this, but since I got permission to talk on anything.
Maybe not anything, but
I did share with Department of Ag the other day. I had a East Tennessee citizen contact me, and I'm 100% confident that you had no clue that this was taking place. I just want to make sure that you're aware. His private property farm, he walks out there and there's somebody walking around with electronic equipment from the Tennessee State Forestry, and they're out there inventorying and looking at trees that are on his private property. No notification, nothing from the courts that allowed them to be there, and he kicks them off their property. So that's something that's taking place right now that throws up even more flags when it comes to what's taking place just here in the state of Tennessee, that I'm getting calls on that came directly from somebody that's under you out there on the state. That I just want to make sure you're aware that took place so that we can address that. I'm getting more details sent in on that from an email, but that conversation was last week, and it happened, I guess it was 3 weeks ago is whenever it took place. So I just wanted to bring it to your attention since you're here. Thank you.
do you want a response or just informing her to maybe look into that? Okay, perfect. Thank you. Any other, Representative Hardaway?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Since we broadened the scope, as far as recruitment for new foresters, combined with K-12 and their curriculums, is there any relationship that you have with K-12 where you're, in essence, recruiting, but you're doing it by participating in programs, et cetera, including perhaps the double or the college credits that are available while you're in high school?
Ms. Layton?
Thank you very much for asking that question. That is something that we are very passionate about. And I would like to recognize Candace Dinwiddie, the Executive Director of the Tennessee Forestry Association, who's in the audience, who is my partner in that initiative. We have a very successful workforce development program. We work as an affiliate from the Forestry Works program. It's a regional forestry workforce development program that is initiated in Alabama and now has several southern states that have signed on as affiliates, Tennessee being the first. And so we have developed a forester curriculum that we have put into high schools. Currently, we've graduated over 100 high school students with that curriculum, and we have had numerous dozens and dozens of forest industry representatives sign on to a letter of support saying they will give preferential hiring for those individuals who have come out of high school with that certificate in hand. So for the high school students, we are working with FFA and 4-H and the Forestry Works to engage them in the careers that are associated with the forest industry. For the younger students, the kindergarten through middle school, we partner with the Project Learning Tree, and we engage those teachers on how to deliver conservation education programs in those appropriate age classrooms. And then for post-high school graduates, we work with the TCAT system to also have a forestry curriculum in those TCAT facilities. Namely, currently we have one in Hohenwald, TCAT Hohenwald, and TCAT Crump. And we too offer preferential hiring from our industry with folks who are coming out of those curriculum or those facilities with that curriculum. So we are absolutely engaging the entire spectrum.
Representative Hardaway.
Thank you, Chairman. And it sounds like you're doing a good job. You were very thorough in your response. I would just invite you to come to Memphis, Shelby County and do some recruiting and help to expand the involvement of our Memphis Shelby School Board in promoting the curriculum and the participation of the students.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. And do we have anybody else for our guests? Representative Vital, did you?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I mentioned earlier the Cumberland Trail, which has become very popular in East Tennessee as a pass-through trail across the state. It does pass through some state forests, wildlife management areas. How will you be working with the maintenance of that? That's been a challenge in some places. It's a linear state park through multiple pieces of property. Sometimes doesn't get the attention. Obviously, you wouldn't be charging, I assume, for it passing through state forests, but how are you working with TDEC, the other agencies, for the management of that?
Go ahead, Ms. Slayton. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. Our partnership with TDEC is exceptionally strong. We have formed a state lands group where we meet regularly to discuss topics like that. And TDEC, we honor and recognize through MOUs and other official codification the Cumberland Trail presence on our state forest. And so there is a mutual agreement that in any way possible that we support the maintenance and upkeep of that trail as they have asked us. We completely honor their authority over that trail, and just if they need our assistance, they request it. Just much like if we need their assistance with law enforcement, we also request that.
Representative Vital.
And just in closing, I was just concerned from the fact that there's some decoupling going on here between TDEC and the Department of Agriculture, but we need to maintain those relationships, and maybe an MOU is the appropriate way, because that is something the General Assembly has put a lot of money into. It's well received by Tennesseans and is one of the most popular wildlife areas, trails, systems that we have in Tennessee next to the Appalachian Trail for hiking and pass through. So I want to maintain our commitment to the Justin Wilson Cumberland Trail. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Slayton, do you have anything to follow up?
No, sir. Thank
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for our guests? Okay. Thank you for being here. And without objection, we'll go back into session. We're back into session. And if it would please the committee, we'll take a brief recess while legal works on an amendment, a verbal amendment for Representative Halsey's amendment that would hopefully clarify the things, the concerns that have been brought. And I think they're very valid concerns. So without objection, we will recess. Call the Ag and Natural Resources Committee back into session from that not so brief recess. We appreciate your patience, and we've been working on some technical difficulties here with the wording of the bill and what we need to do procedurally to make sure the public can see everything and know what's going on and know what we're voting on. Representative Darby, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Due to time constraints, and we appreciate everybody here, but we're probably going to need to roll this bill to a special calendar.
Okay, we have a motion to roll this to special calendar. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. Roll to the special calendar. We have a motion to adjourn with no other business. We are adjourned.